Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Matt Tebow from Stacked, and today I am joined by League of Legends General Manager for CLG Tafo. How are you doing today, man? Sad to see
Uh,
another heartbreaker for CLG.
for sure. I mean, I think we were in a yet another winning position. A lot to look forward to. I think we didn't. We're not coming in expecting to lose, but 2 days of practice with Broxah. We're playing against C9, so glad that we can make it competitive. We almost took the W. Unfortunately, we didn't, but it does give us a lot to look up to, especially for next week in scrims.
Of course, I want to talk about that madcap rush to get from Broxah from the airport into a room where he could sit on a computer and play League of Legends. Talk to me about that whole process.
Yeah, so he came in on Wednesday. Normally scrims happen around noon. Thankfully, our scrim partner actually allowed us to delay the scrim. So got him home, got him some food, got him situated, and I think by like 2:30 ish, like he was able to play. Fortunately, customs and LAX weren't that crowded, so we were able to get him settled in. So funny enough, he I think stayed up like 26 hours straight. He didn't really get a lot of good sleep on either plane, and so he was a trooper that day for sure.
Yeah, I haven't made the flight from West Coast to Denmark, but I can tell you East Coast to Denmark isn't that fun either, let me tell you.
Yeah,
Oh man, those jumbo planes are just nightmares to sleep on. But going on from that, so how is the team complied with like American law or any standing California law that requires you to quarantine? Like, do you guys have him situated in a separate house from everybody else, or is he in? Have you guys just sequestered him in a room like he's in that movie Quarantine, or what's going on?
he's just pretty much in his own room. There's a bathroom. We're making sure he's taken care of with food and everything, and then we do COVID tests semi often, like pretty often. So once that happens, along with like about a 10-day self quarantine, he'll be joining the rest of the team at the facility.
Okay. And I think this is doubly important to CLG because you guys had a COVID outbreak prior to the season even starting, like about a week or two ago. I remember Poe Belter was talking about it on one of the post lock in interviews. So has that influenced the kind of security measures you've taken with Broxah in that regard?
I mean, I think overall we still complied with LA County and the state. Unfortunately, it just happens. LA just has such a high rate. So the standards that we were really putting before actually were pretty strict. We did a lot of COVID tests, temperature checks, questionnaires, and we had a really small bubble of about like 4 households in total. The majority of the players and coaches actually live in the same bubble, like 1 to 2 houses next door. So we were pretty tight. Unfortunately, it happened again. Uh, we did look into anything more we can do just to balance the risk and I guess the reward of coming to a facility. And so yeah, pretty much the same more or less.
Mm-hmm. Moving on from that, I want to talk about a topic that a lot of people have been particularly tweeting about in the last few hours. The discussions about the import rule. We talked about this a little bit on
Yeah.
the media day yesterday, where you guys and your COO came and basically gave the talk on CLG's perspective on it. But since those media days have been put out, particularly by Travis Gafford, we've seen a lot of players, casting personalities, and even I think Carlos from G2 weighed in on Twitter as well about how it would affect the
Yeah.
LEC. So we know these talks are happening. It's been confirmed. We know these talks are going on behind closed doors. But with the amount of just sheerly negative attention brought in by players, executives from across the Atlantic, and from personalities within Riot, do you think that'll have a muting effect on the conversations? Do you think owners are going to be like, well, maybe not actually. This will make a lot of people angry, or are they just going to say, screw it, do it, let's keep going?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure actually, and I'm not like just for context, like I'm not really a part of this conversation, so I don't really know what's going on behind this closed doors. So like I'm gonna come in, just to preface fairly naively. I don't know what the goals of the ownership groups are or Riot. So like the only answer I can give is like my kind of personal opinion on things. Like I think the like how I view like imports in general. Like I think when Impact, Piglet, Bjergsen, and Jensen, when they all came in, I think they elevated the level of play. Like I think it gave a lot of our NA players an opportunity to play against really good players. I think a bunch of mid laners can give credit to Bjergsen coming to NA and saying like, oh wow, like he really pushed me hard. And I think that's like a really good example of like where an import can be really positive. They work really hard. I think the flip side is, when let's say LCS has 50 people not from NA, then you're a young 15-year-old, you're an inspiring player. You're just like, oh, like I have no chance. So hopefully there is a balance that comes through where, I think CoreJJ for now is like a really shining example of a person that is really looking to improve NA. And so strictly to say, let's not have any imports. Like I think there's both good and the bad. I would love to root for people that are from NA. I think CLG, like we do, even though we have some Oceanic guys, we've been pretty good on experimenting and trying out a lot of academy and amateur players. So hopefully, we can continue to do that, and that the ecosystem allows for people to keep being incentivized to, chase their dreams of being in the LCS and being a pro player from NA.
Yeah. So I just want to get you on the record on this. The import rule as it stands, 2 slots in the LCS, 1 slot in Academy, not including OCE, which is now a part of North America. Do you support changing it in any way? Do you want to keep it as it is, or do you want it gone, in your personal opinion?
I think it's like, I wouldn't want it I think completely gone feels kind of weird, to be honest. I don't know what the implications are. I think when people, say like the import rule is gone, like they just assume that we're going to be filled. But at the same time, like not every import wants to come to NA either. So it might be a gradual thing. But in the flip side, there's like a second wave of players that will become imports. So like some teams are already becoming NA residents, and so you have these super teams of 5 players that technically from NA. So I don't really know like what the balance is, but like I think for sure out of all the answers I can definitively give you, like a complete no bars restriction at all just feels weird. And that's probably like where I stand. I'd probably have to think about it a bit more to get something more nuanced.
Okay. In that case, I think you touched a little bit about this actually, about fans fearing that it's just going to become like super teams from like Asia or Europe or something. In that regard, do you think fans' fears of the import rule being adjusted or removed are justified, in the sense that like super teams, like maybe someone like TSM, which has a lot of capital, can just acquire a super team from somewhere and bring them in and repackage them as like the brand new TSM? Is that a justifiable fear for fans?
I mean, I think it's a fear, and I think a large part of the fears is like no one really knows like what the actual rule, like what is the actual proposal. Like I don't even know what it is. So I think you know it's understandable that fans will fear for the worst case doomsday scenario, and I totally get it. So like I'm also genuinely curious, like what are the arguments being constructed, like what are the just rules, because I don't know if like a lot of I'm just speaking from just like gut feeling here, just to preface. Like I don't know how many teams are outright just saying like eliminate the import rule completely, and so I feel like it's not quite as doomsday as that, because when you talk to a lot of individuals from other orgs, they're just like, oh yeah, like I love the amateur scene. So I have to say that it's probably somewhere in the middle.
Okay, cool. And
Yeah.
just to pivot from that, going forward, what do you expect from CLG now that Broxah is going to be here in the short term?
Just a lot of stability. I think we hired Broxah as our starting LCS spot for a reason, and we believe in him. And I have to give credit to Griffin for filling in. I think this year for us, it was a confidence rebuilding year for him, and so his intent was to start an academy and really just build up. Being able to have a less pressured environment, and so for him to step up and play for us, like I have to give him a lot of props. But now that we have our full roster here and that we actually get to practice, I think a lot changes. So maybe we're a little bit too far behind now for spring split, but I expect us to be pretty geared in by the end of summer to really be competing with the top teams. And you kind of already saw that with C9 today.
Mm-hmm. And that's all from me. Is there anything you want to tell the fans in general?
Again, I know there's a lot of chatter. Just really appreciate that, for you guys that are like happy, sad, mad, you guys are talking about CLG. You guys are passionate. I'm always going to appreciate you guys. So hopefully I can do one good for you guys.
Perfect. Once again, this is CLG League of Legends General Manager Tafo. My name is Matt Tebow. I'm with Stack.gg. You can find us online at that URL, and you can also follow us on our socials at StackHello. Tafo, thanks for coming to talk to me today, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much.